when you plant that crop, and it'll tell you what it's deficient in. So learning how to identify those visual cues as a diagnostician can go a long way for you as a farmer in helping your operation. As a general rule of thumb, when you're looking at the canopy and evaluating nutrient deficiencies, if it occurs in the lower half of the plant, the older growth, the deficiency will be one of four things: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, or magnesium. Nutrient deficiencies that affect the upper canopy, or the newer growth, usually the result of inadequate supply of sulfur or any one of the micronutrient metals. Let's begin with discussing what nitrogen deficiency looks like in grasses. Nitrogen deficiency is typically going to show up as a yellowing or chlorosis of the lower leaves. With nitrogen deficiency, it starts at the tip of the leaf, proceeds along the midrib, and forms a V that points towards the base of the leaf. And beyond the visual assessment of the V that points towards the base of the leaf on the lower leaves, you can also see a general stunting of the plant. So its height is dramatically shorter than it should be for a particular growth stage. When we're doing visual assessment of broadleaf plants, specifically soybeans, or if we're talking about a non-legume like cotton, if we don't have adequate nodules on that root system to fix atmospheric nitrogen, we can visually see nitrogen deficiency. So you're still going to see the chlorosis in the lower canopy. The other thing that you usually notice with broadleaves is that even the younger tissue, the younger leaves as they grow, are a little bit smaller in size. So what does a phosphorus deficiency look like? In grasses, it's typically going to be exhibited by a reddish purple hue or color of the lower leaves. Phosphorus deficiency in grasses typically starts at the leaf tip and sort of progresses along the edge, but if it gets severe enough, can actually affect all of the plant tissue in that lower canopy. In broadleaves like soybean and cotton, phosphorus deficiency can be very difficult to diagnose. In cotton, for example, sometimes the lower leaves will be a very dark green, sort of a bluish hue. As the plant matures and grows, it gets even harder to diagnose phosphorus deficiency, and usually what we're left with is the plant is stunted and we just have a poor yield. And that's our only clues that something is going on in that particular soil. If you do suspect phosphorus deficiency based upon some visual assessment or your yields were off, you need to be a little bit more reliant on soil analysis and possibly even tissue tests to make sure you get an accurate diagnosis of what's going on. Potassium deficiency is often confused with nitrogen deficiency, but there's a very easy way to distinguish the two. And it's going to be a yellowing of that leaf progressing towards the base. Now, unlike nitrogen deficiency, they both start at the leaf tip, but potassium proceeds along the leaf edge, as opposed to along the midrib. So instead of the V pointing at the plant, the V actually points away from the plant. In broadleaves, potassium deficiency is typically going to exhibit, again, in that lower canopy, but specifically in crops like soybeans, where you'll actually see that yellowing of the leaf edge, but it's going to be the new tissue as opposed to the older tissue. If you want more information on visual assessment of nutrient deficiencies, please visit the link that we've provided. It will direct you to the IPNI website, where they have available pictures of nutrient deficiencies for a myriad of different crops. If you can identify those cues, it helps you to come up with that corrective course of action that much quicker, which can contribute to your bottom line.